Howdy, folks. I wanted to make a quick video here to kind of go over these concepts of film study terms. So the three we're really looking at the beginning are framing, what the director decides to show us in a frame. Like, am I far away or am I really close? Those are choices. Perspective, the angle at which we're seeing characters or objects, the angle of the camera. And then blocking, basically how things move in the scene. Specifically, we're looking at kind of how characters move together or apart or where they place themselves, standing, sitting, lying down, leaning. All those are kind of choices that a director could give to an actor to create a feeling, an emphasis in a scene. So we're going to take a look and we're going to watch a couple of video clips together, and I'll kind of show you how this analysis works. The first one we're going to take a look at is No Country for Old Men, directed by the Coen brothers. And we're going to watch these without sound. If you want the links to the videos to watch them, go for it. But the mark of a good director and a good storytelling is that I'm able to tell what's going on without there to being any sound at all. So initially, I'm going to replay that first. I want you to think about, what are we looking at? Why aren't we seeing this in a full shot of this guy walking up to a door? We're seeing very deliberately, we're starting at his boots and the camera's slowly moving up, and we go past this weird gun thing that he has, the tank. We don't even see his face yet, right? But it's taken a long time to pan up from his boots up to his hand. This is emphasizing kind of how big this guy is. And that's going to be reinforced here in a second. So a nice close-up, the lock being blown out. And then check out this shot, right? We went from a close-up of him to emphasize how big he was. This time to a full shot to emphasize how big he was. Because look at how big that dude is in the doorway, right? He's filling up, and he actually steps in and goes past the top of the doorway here. This is Javier Bardem, and he's a big guy, but he's not like big. And the reason how the director kind of emphasizes this is not only with that full shot, but look at where the camera's placed. This isn't an eye level shot. The camera's basically on the same level as like a coffee table. So it's placed down really far, really low. So we can be looking up at Javier Bardem get bigger and bigger and bigger in the screen. So as we kind of zoom forward, he was walking through, and then we get to this scene here, or part of the scene a little bit later. You can watch the full scene. I've got it linked. All right. So again, we're seeing him approach the door, kind of fill up that frame. I love this. If we're looking at symbolism, like kind of this dark figure approaching. We can tell that this guy is the bad guy. Like, he's the antagonist of this film. And this time, we've taken a look at kind of close-ups. We've taken a look at how the director uses perspective. Now I want you to take a look at blocking in this next scene. Because instead of seeing close-ups and like full shots now, we've gone to the more neutral medium shot, right? Medium shot of Javier Bardem. And then we'll also be in a medium shot of whoever the receptionist is, right? But these two are not on even playing fields, right? If we're just looking at the blocking, how the characters are moving and what they're doing in the scene, even if what they're doing is nothing, we can tell this guy is way more in control than the lady, mostly because he's standing up, right? He's still big and dominant and oppressive, and notice how his head is still up above that door, like he's seeming larger than life, whereas she is sitting down, right? We're looking almost down at her, still in a medium shot, but we're looking down to make her seem a little bit more vulnerable, make her seem like she's not the one in charge of this situation. So there's an excellent example of framing, perspective, and blocking all in a scene. Next one we'll take a look at is the Zodiac, directed by David Fincher. Kind of a dark film about a serial killer, but still really good, artistically done scene. So right off, let's kind of examine the perspective. What are we seeing and how are we seeing it here, right? Jake Gyllenhaal is our protagonist, and he's a little bit closer in the frame, right? But look at the way that he's shot. He's a little blurry. He's also sitting down. And even though this guy is farther away and seems smaller, he seems a little bit higher up in the frame. Like their heads are pretty close, but for some reason, him looking down at Jake tends to make me feel like this guy's going to have the power in the scene. And I don't even know what's going on yet, right? So we'll take a look at some medium shots about Jake explaining things. And then we're going to switch back. And I like that right here because we can see him look up. Let's see if I can pause it. Right there. That look up at the very end indicates like you're above me. You're kind of domineering over me. And again, we get this guy's looking back down at him. And what's playing out in this scene is that Jake is making a realization right there. He just made the realization that the serial killer that he has been trying to track down is in the room with him. This guy is the Zodiac serial killer, and Jake has just realized it. He's in the house of this great villain of the movie. So we go into a little bit of a close-up, change the angle a little bit to see Jake's reaction. Oh my God, I have to leave. And then watch this blocking here, right? Because we could have shot this, or Finchner could have shot this in any way that he wanted to. But watch where Jake is facing and watch what happens to this guy that we just learned is the pivotal character of this movie. Sorry if I spoiled it for you. He walks behind Jake and out of frame. I could have shot that any way I wanted to, but the fact that a serial killer just went behind me and then out of my vision, that starts to get you as a viewer like, oh goodness, what's he doing? Right? It's kind of like the idea with, I think of it as spiders. Like as long as I can see where a spider is, I'm fine. Like, okay, we can keep our distance. I'm terrified of you. But as soon as I know it was there and it's gone, I'm like, oh my God, it's in my clothes. I know it's in my clothes. That's the same feeling I get when I'm watching this scene. This shot is also great. Close up, but framed so well that the director is showing us the reaction of Jake very clearly, and then the guy we just learned who is the serial killer in the background, in the darkness. Classic example of good framing. And then I love this. Ding, light comes on. Just like Jake making the realization of what just happened. The last thing I'll show you about this that I really, really love. Get Jake's reaction. Again, serial killer exits the frame. And then watch where Jake moves in regards to the camera. Jake walks into the dark, into the basement, straight into the darkness. I'll show you that again. He's basically blocking out all the light by following this guy into his basement. So we can kind of guess of what's going to happen. Like there's going to be some big climactic scene coming ahead. So that's just how we use some of these tools as a director and also as an audience to interpret, oh, here's why I'm feeling the thing that I'm feeling in terms of framing, perspective, and blocking. All right, you guys will be practicing this throughout watching The Crucible to see why is the director making these choices and what effect is it having on me as a viewer.